Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today we have to dive into these v0.11.2 update patch notes because this is crazy. I'm on my lunch break from work right now, and I read the patch while I was at work, talked in Soul Reaper's chat a little bit, but I wanted to give y'all my thoughts about it because I think it looks really good. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to skip some of the explanation of what they got going on. Definitely jump into the patch notes and take a read, and we're going to kind of get straight to it. First and foremost, I think this Revenant skin looks awesome. My only gripe about this section of the patch is that I do wish we were just getting more content. So it looks awesome. Excited to see it. I think it'll probably be dope. It's probably going to be overpriced. And yeah, dev Q&A and dev stream coming up. Not Q&A, but dev live stream coming up. Pretty excited about that. And then we got some balance changes. So Drongo's Boomerang allows him to apply a lot of pressure in the early lane stage, granting him the deadly combination of strong wave clear and extreme burst when paired with his rad rounds to help slow him down and give him more windows of weakness. We're increasing Old Rusty cooldown. Old Rusty's cooldown in the early stages of the match. Likewise, we've remedied a bug with his ultimate shred effect and have lowered the shred to compensate for its overall increase. So cooldown going up a little bit in the early game, and then changes to his ultimate shred. So Feng Mao in offlane. Feng Mao's ability to take short trades with his shield and accompanying basic attack reset gives him too much strength in the early game, especially when paired with his high health regeneration, pulling him back in the early strength to ensure he does not run down his opponents as easily, while being more prone to chip damage as a result of having less inherent regeneration. So general base health decreased, health regen decreased, basic attack timer increase from 1.1 to 1.15, and then his Q is going to get a 10 mana increase, and then the shield is coming down in efficacy by just a bit. Greystone overperforming in the jungle due to his general durability and capacity to run down opponents. I just want to pause for a second. You know how many people I've had tell me that Greystone's not a good jungler, or like even like people in like solo queue, like ladder matches that I've like played, and like people are like, oh, Greystone jungle's not good, and I'm just like, what, dude? Greystone jungle's always been really good. So in any case, to help mitigate this, we're dropping the potency and uptime of his ultimate in the early stages of the match, while granting his Make Way a lower cooldown in the early stages of the match to help him keep better pace in the off lane where he sees far less success. So Make Way is his Q. Cooldown decreased from 14, 13, 12, 11, 10 to 12, 11.5, 11, 10.5, 10. And then Sacred Oath is E. Duration increased from decreased from 6 seconds to 5 seconds. I think that's a small change, probably won't matter much. And then his R. Cooldown increased from 150, 125, 100, 160, 130, 100. Minimum healing decreased from 14% up to 20%. From 14% up to 18%. So we're seeing a little bit of health minimum healing go down, and then we're seeing maximum healing go down as well. So he's not going to heal as much, which I think is fine. I think his ult is really, really strong. Honestly, I don't think this is going to hit him too hard. Yeah, I think it's going to be just fine. The cooldown in the early game, it's like we're talking like a 10-second cooldown, a 5-second cooldown. You really don't just use this ult off cooldown, right? Like you kind of need to like use it at the right time. So I really don't think this is going to hurt him too much. We'll hopefully pull him down in line in jungle a little bit, and then yeah, he's getting a faster cooldown on his Q, which I think is great. Kallari, the health regeneration offered by Kallari's Shadow Walk can be difficult to utilize as a sustain tool in the earlier stages of the match and can be difficult to extract value from. This is basically an offlane only thing because it doesn't really matter in jungle much. We're giving it an extra kick in the earlier stages of the match to feel more meaningful while ensuring her regeneration capabilities do not become too overbearing in offlane with a small increase in mana cost. So yeah, really, like I think pretty negligible changes, but can maybe bring Kallari offlane slightly up a bit. So Chimera's general durability as a match progresses can become overbearing when he's allowed to sit in a fight undisturbed. By dropping down the overall healing offered by spirit regeneration stacks in the later stages of the match, Chimera will find himself more susceptible to burst damage should he dive too deep into the fray. I think that this is a good change. I almost like hate to see it, and I hope it doesn't crush him, and we'll see what it feels like, but I think it's a good change. He just becomes a force to be reckoned with, and it's really, really tough. So physical armor growth decreased 3.6 to 3.4, and then health regeneration per stack at levels 1 to 18 decreased from 0.7 to 5.5. 2.7 to 4.6, so he's not going to heal as much. And then right mouse button stacked on use increased from 3 to 5. I think this is going to be a good bring in line change for Chimera, he might fall a little bit in meta. Muriel, quick bump down in slow duration on Muriel Sentry, or Serenity, to reduce her ability to set up a rundown scenarios for her allies. Serenity Q, slow duration decreased from 2.5 to 2 seconds. Fine. Rampage has fallen out of favor since his previous round of adjustments. While he may benefit from the jungle adjustments, providing a bit more upfront damage to Pounce will help him better convert his engagements into winning plays. So Pounce, right mouse button, damage increase from 80, 110, 140, 170, 200 to 90, 120, 150, 180, 210. Bonus health scaling increase from 8% to 9%. So he's going to get some more damage on his Pounce. I don't think it's going to matter that much, but I do think like slightly buffing Rampage when you slightly pull down Chimera while also giving changes to the jungle that are coming up, I think Rampages might be pretty damn good in this upcoming patch. So I'm excited about that, as well as Richter, but Richter's always a great jungler. Richter's ability to be a movable object in lane in the support role offers him too much pressure when combined with the threat of his hook, where dropping down his level 1 base stats to make him more punishable should he overstep, while shifting around some of his damage values to ensure that he's not overly impacted in the jungle or offlane. Additionally, this must be so hard to balance a character that can play 3 roles. Additionally, with the new adjustments to jungle camps, Richter no longer needs his bonus damage to keep up with his clear speeds, so we opted to remove it. So general, he's getting weaker. I don't even really want to read through most of that. He's getting weaker base stats. His Q, magic power scaling increased from 40% to 50%. Damage increased from 60, 95, 130, 165, 200, 65, 100, 135, 170, 205. So a little bit more damage on his Q in general, and if you're building magic power, which, you know, you could build a little bit like World Breaker or something. Electrocute E, damage decreased from 110 up to 290 to 90 up to 290. So the early damage on his E is coming down a little bit, and he no longer needs the 20% buff in jungle because, you know, the jungle's getting weaker. So Sarah seems to be performing in line with her high risk, high reward identity. However, her ability to blow through targets and run down opponents can prove too overwhelming should she secure a gold lead. Alongside decreased movement speed with her ultimate as active, a reduction in scalings on Sarah's Heaven's Fury and Chastise abilities will see her having a harder time securing that all-important reset. I actually felt like she was pretty balanced, just like slightly on the strong side. So we'll see how this impacts her. Her Heaven's Fury Q, damage increased from 45 up to 125 to 50 up to 130, so slight damage increase, but the physical power scaling is coming down a pretty significant amount, 60% down to 45. That's a pretty sizable nerf to her Heaven's Fury. I also think that because the physical power scaling comes down, this also pushes her more in the carry build direction, because, you know, if you're slamming a bunch of pen and power but not auto attacks, this ability is going to hit way less, so you're going to need those auto attacks between press and Q. So I think that the carry build that I've been playing on her is probably going to stay my main build on her. And then Chastise right mouse button, bonus physical power scaling decreased from 80% to 75%, so a little bit less damage there, and then less movement speed on her R. Honestly, we'll see how this hits her. I think we're going to feel this one on Sarah, but we'll see. And then they fix Xerath where he gets stacks in his ultimate on takedown, which is awesome. Crest, the next super strong Crest. Physical power increase from 12 to 15. Pen decrease from 15 to 12. So a nice little nerf for next. It's pretty strong. So let's dive into the jungle changes now. Jungle currently falls behind other roles in regards to farming, relies heavily on getting kills, interacting with the map to get any sort of advantage. Our initial pain points are that jungle camps are too durable too early relative to hero and itemization strength. This makes the time investment required to kill a camp relative to its reward very hard to tune. Our goal to make the jungle role play faster and allow more jungle versus jungle interaction in the form of invading and counter jungling, while also allowing for more hero diversity in the jungle. I'm going to tell you what this patch is going to do. This patch is going to free up jungle agency to be in different places. So what you can do is now you can make more decisions as jungle. You can either hyper farm your ass off, and we'll talk about why in a second. You can show up in lanes way more often. You can counter jungle way more often, and then you can hopefully be prepared for counter ganks way more often. You should be able to move around the map as a jungler way more without the fear of falling behind. Because right now, if you take a couple ganks and the other jungler just hyper farms, they get ahead of you. That's fine, but they get like pretty ahead of you, and you're already behind the lanes because you're jungle and you just don't get that much farm. So this is going to hopefully pull up like the ratio of like farm experience, gold experience, like kind of closer to 1-to-1 for some of these lanes, while also giving you the ability to actually impact the map without falling behind. So Additionally, making jungle camps less durable allows for other roles to be able to take the jungle camps more frequently, therefore allowing other roles to interact with the jungles more easily. This means laners can jump in, steal a camp really quickly. The respawn timers are faster, so I think it's totally acceptable. If you push up a wave, get a pry on a wave, you can invade the jungle. This is going to be really big in off lane. I think jungling or like stealing like off lane jungle side is going to be really, really big and could lead to huge leads for off lane. And it's going to be really, really interesting just to see how the team can interact with jungle more and kind of take a lead that they have and then push into the jungle and steal more just because it's easier to kill. We're always looking to improve each role's general experience and loop, and in the case of jungle, this is the first of several balance changes aimed at nudging this role's gameplay loop and diversity in a healthier direction. I personally think that this is going to be maybe too strong for jungle, but we will see. It just depends, because they don't list any gold changes or anything like that, so some of that might need to get tuned a little bit. Otherwise, jungle could end up being the one that's like super farmed and super ahead, and it may actually just be better to just hyper farm your ass off. And I think that that's what we're about to see. Soul Reaper was saying the same thing. I agree. I think we're about to have hyper farming junglers who just farm their ass off, and then they come out and start making big impact. And yeah, we'll see how that feels. Hunt Wild Hunt. For those unaware, Hunt provides junglers with a burning damage over time dot effect when they damage monsters as part of the jungler passive. This damage was previously magical, but we're shifting into true damage to normalize its damage against all monster types, while also allowing it to apply on melee cleave damage, while making it easier to spread and further normalizing clear speeds for different jungler class types such as tanks and melee mages. So melee mages and tanks are also going to get better at jungling, which is great. On top of this, Hunt's burn effects now scale additionally with additional stat types, ensuring that all classes of jungler can better keep pace in their clears throughout a game, be that a health and armor stacking rampage or a magical power assassin such as Countess. So yeah, they're just kind of making jungle a lot more accessible to everybody. So they have the specifics listed here if you want. You can definitely take a look at it. It doesn't really matter. Like once you know it, you do more damage based on the stats that you're buying. Jungle scaling respawns. Not only have we adjusted the base stats and growths of various camps, but the generic jungle camps no longer level up their scaled base stats as deep into a match. To summarize this, because again, I think a lot of this information is like nuanced, but it's not super important. The jungle camps are going to stop scaling in strength at level 11, and when they used to keep going to level 15. So around 22 minutes of the game, and now, as opposed to around 30 minutes in the game. So the jungle camps just kept getting harder and harder and harder, and that was a really important thing, because if you fell behind in jungle, then the camps were harder and harder to do. Whereas now, as you scale into the game, the jungle is just going to become like a really quick, inconsequential farm. Like, it's not going to take that much time to just pop in the jungle, steal a camp, boom, pop out. And that's going to be for carries in the duo lane, pop in the jungle, steal, take a camp from your jungler, or steal a jungle camp and then pop back out. And I think that that's going to be a really interesting game. And this is going to change a lot about the game. It should change a lot about the loop. Additionally, normal jungle camps respawn timers have been reduced by 15 seconds. And when paired with their general durability changes, farming camps will now feel faster at most stages of the game, as well as allow for new pathing, invading opportunities for junglers now that the uptime is high and the time commitment lower. This will help provide greater parity to the benefits of committing to playing a more farm-heavy style compared to spam ganking. In general, so black, gray, white, brown camps now stop gaining health. So this is all just the specifics. I'm not personally going to read through all these. I think that you can if you want to, but it's basically just telling you how much weaker the camps are. If you notice, though, the experience and the gold changes are not listed. And I say they're not listed, meaning there are none, right? Like, there are no experience and gold changes as far as I can tell. So hyper farming jungle is going to be very, very impactful. I think being able to establish a lead for counter jungling, where you can go and then steal their jungle and then take away from them and slow them down while putting yourself ahead, on top of the fact that you can get in, hyper farm, or like quickly steal, invade jungle really quickly because they're weaker. If you invade like a 2 camp, it takes some time. So I think this is all going to be really, really impactful for jungle, but also for other roles around the map as well. So this is one of those big patches that I think is truly going to change the gameplay loop quite a bit. And I'm excited to see it. So friends, I'm very excited about this. I think that this is going to give jungle a lot more agency to make decisions. I think that it's going to give us the ability to potentially even carry matches where, yes, you can do that now, but it's a lot harder. So this is going to give jungle a lot, and I'm very excited about it. So drop a like on the video, subscribe for future Predecessor content. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. I definitely want to hear what you're thinking about this patch. As always, be sure to be kind of one another. Tell someone you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.